Hi guys, and welcome back to Thumpstar. Today we have an assembly video on the Thumpstar TSF150. The first thing we're going to do is remove the cardboard from the crate and expose the bike underneath. So with the bike now exposed, we can go ahead and free up our components, things like our wheel and our headlight and our spare parts boxes, our forks tubes, anything that you find attached to the crate, just go ahead and cut free and remove, and we'll get into the next step after that. Next up, we're going to take our 14mm spanner and our 14mm socket, and we're going to undo all the lower bolts here on the frame. Once you've undone those lower bolts, we can now remove the top of the crate and expose the motorcycle. There are two bits of wire that are going to secure the bike into that frame. We've got one here at the front, so we're just going to cut him away. And a couple at the rear here, same deal, just cut them off and get those off. Once you've done that, you're going to grab your good buddy and get that bike up onto a bike lift. Before we go on, we're just going to have a look at our components, make sure that everything is here. So you should have your headlight, your wheel and your front wheel guard, a set of forks, a bar pad and a bar pad cover. You should have your linkage, your axle, side stand, some bolts and some fork clamps. Now, as we can see, these are actually bar clamps, not fork clamps as I just mentioned. So we're going to take these bar clamps, we're going to lay our bars on the top of the yoke there and just get those started by hand so that we can position those correctly. So once you've got those bolts in, you're just going to tighten them up, get your torque wrench, set it to 14 Newton meters and make sure that those are all torqued up properly. And once you've done that, you're going to grab your paint marker, as we do, and just put a little mark on those bolts. Okay guys, now we're going to install the front forks. So we're just going to take those one at a time, slide them through the clamps like so, and then you have got your two bolts here on the top and you've got one underneath. Oh sorry, you've got two on the bottom here on the 150, my apologies. And we're just going to tighten those up to 14 Newton meters all round. And don't forget to just put the brake line through the little plastic loop there. You'll notice there are some connectors here at the front of the bike. They can only be done up one way, so just go ahead and connect those up with the corresponding plugs. So now with the installation of the front fender, we're just going to remove those 4 bolts, place the fender back in and do the bolts back up. So we're going to install the front wheel now. You'll notice that there is 2 spaces, and just remember the smaller spacer goes on the opposite side to the disc brake, so the bigger spacer on the brake side. And a little bit of grease on the axle is the way to go, just like so. A little bit of a tip that our mechanic uses here is to just pivot the fork outwards a bit. It makes it a little bit easier to get that wheel and axle in there without losing everything. So with a 10 and a 12mm Allen key, We're going to set these to 40 Newton meters and torque that accordingly. Assembly of the brake is quite straightforward. We're just going to remove the bolts and give us access to the spacers. And we're going to install that onto this mount here. Whilst installing the brakes, you want to thread around the inside of the fork there, just like so. Put a little bit of Loctite on your bolts. .30 Newton meters is what we are setting those bolts to. We've also got the pinch bolts on the axle here. Do not over tighten these. They're called pinch bolts for a reason. You just need to nip them up like so. And we've got this little holder here for the brake line. You just secure your brake line in just like so, and you've got a couple of Phillips head screws to tighten up. Very straightforward. So now we're going to take our headlight and plug it in. As we said, there is only one connector that it will fit into. So plug that into its corresponding connection and just tighten up that little rubber sheath that's designed to go over the top of all the plugs, and then there is a zip tie to secure it all around. And you've got a couple of bolts on the side of the headlight there to secure that in. And then just put your bar pad on. That just sits on top and has some Velcro tabs to attach itself. So this is your linkage and the parts that you're going to need to install it. So grab those bits and we're going to show you how to install the linkage next. So what you have underneath the bottom of the bike here is you have part of the linkage connected to the frame. You have the bottom of the shock absorber, and you have the section connected to the swing arm. Now you're going to put some grease on these bolts and line it up. It will actually only go in one way, so you'll notice that this section will only fit into that part, as will this part will only fit into this part, and this part will only fit into this part. So it's pretty straightforward. It can be a little bit fiddly, but like we say, grease it up, take your time, and then get that all installed, and we'll show you what that's going to look like in just a second. And here we have it. That's what the linkage should look like once you've put it into position. We've still got to do up a couple of the bolts, the nuts, sorry. But that is what you are looking for. And we're just going to tighten those nuts up to 40 Newton meters. So just check your chain tension at some point there, and you want it roughly about this level that we've got. And if you need some assistance in tensioning that, then you can watch the genuine Thumpstar maintenance video, which will show you exactly how to do that. Now we're going to take our side stand and just apply a little bit of grease on there, and this is pretty straightforward. Hook your spring on and line up the stand with the hole, tighten that one up. We're now going to remove the seat so we can connect the battery. You've just got one nut underneath the bottom there. The seat comes off like so, exposing the battery, and then all you need to do is connect your positive terminal to the positive on the battery and your negative terminal to the negative on the battery. Air filter, as Shawnee just did, can be checked with just a rub of the finger, and then check your finger. If your finger is a little bit greasy, you've got oil on your air filter. Now, should you need to remove this section to get to your air filter, you've just got one wing nut here. You'll undo that and this whole lot will come out, and it will come out of the two grommets. Removing that will expose your air filter for maintenance. So with that battery connected, you can go ahead and flick your ignition switch, make sure your light is functioning properly. We're going to now put a bit of fuel in here. As we say, we like to use 95 octane. They will run on 91, they will run on 98. Our preference is 95. And we've got our fuel tap located just down there. We can see that is currently in the off position. Pointing the arrow to the top is your reserve tank, and pointing the arrow to the bottom is your fuel on. So now that we've got fuel in the bike, we're getting towards the tail end of it. We're just going to check the oil level. Obviously a good thing to do before you start the engine. And we have our white rag ready so that we can just straight away dip it on there, and we can see that that bike is absolutely full. Back in it goes. And before we start the bike up, we're just going to check our throttle free play. We've got an adjuster here just so that we've got a little bit of wiggle room on the throttle. You do not want it all tight and bound up. You also have a second adjuster there that you can use to get the required amount of adjustment. Same thing over here on the clutch. We have one adjuster there, and we're just looking for that little bit of free play, just as Shawnee has got there. And your bike will be running absolutely tip-top. So we're just about to give this a start, and remembering if you're in a colder country, you might want to apply some choke upon startup. We're in a nice warm environment here, so we're just going to kick it in the guts. And just have a visual inspection, make sure that everything looks like it's in order. So here we've got the removable baffle. These can be removed with simply one bolt. Now on the 150s, we've found that these bikes actually run a bit better with the baffle in. So it's up to you whether you want to remove that or not, but we have noticed that performance is just slightly better with that extra bit of back pressure. So now we're going to go around, remove all these sticker covers one by one, and then we'll head outside and test the bike and make sure it runs correctly. So nice and straightforward, you just grab an end and nice and easy all the way around, exposing those beautiful unforeseen decals. Okay guys, so 15 PSI is what we recommend that you run front and rear. The other things that we like to do is check the spoke tension on the wheels. So you just wiggle your spokes like so, and if you feel any looseness whatsoever, the way to adjust those is at the base you grab a small spanner and you turn this anti-clockwise. By turning this anti-clockwise, you're going to put more tension on the spoke and it should pull taut. You very, very rarely find that one of these is loose from the factory. However, after riding, it is a great idea to check your spoke tension. So here we are guys, that is the TSF-150 fully built and assembled. Now we're going to take it outside and we're just going to check everything works properly. Brakes, steering, starter, acceleration, make sure there is no little hiccups. Don't forget guys, smash that like and subscribe button if you appreciate the videos. Give us a comment below.